Okay, today let's talk about church music. We'll be discussing the story behind the hymn Abide With Me, written by Henry Francis Light, a man who was born in 1793. Spent much of his ministry in the fishing village of Brixham in England. Light was not just a pastor, he was a gifted poet and a musician who deeply loved writing hymns that reflected Christian hope. His childhood, although wasn't easy, his father abandoned the family, leaving him to grow up under difficult circumstances. But as Light visited and cared for a fellow clergyman, he fell ill. He was struck by the dying man's peace and unwavering faith in Christ. That encounter profoundly changed his spiritual life and ministry entirely. From then on, Light devoted himself wholeheartedly to preaching and pastoral care. While caring for others in his ministry, Henry Light suffered from tuberculosis, sadly, a disease that had no effective cure at that time. As the years passed, his breathing became increasingly difficult. The doctors advised him to leave England for a warmer climate, hoping the Mediterranean air might prolong his life. Light actually understood that that kind of advice meant he might never return or recover. Then on September, about that 18th century or so, despite being extremely weak, Light insisted on preaching and leading Holy Communion for his congregation one last time, even in his down health. Those who were present were amazed actually that he completed the service at all. He returned home exhausted, tired, but that same evening, surprisingly, he was reflecting on his failing strength and his dependence on God. He wrote the words of a new hymn: Abide with me, fast falls the eventide, the darkness deepens, Lord, with me. He was asking God to remain with him as the evening of his own life approached. Throughout the hymn, evening and darkness symbolized not only the close of the day, but also the nearness of his death. A few weeks later, Light left England for the south of France, and then from France he went to Italy, hoping that the climate would help him recover, just like the doctor said. But sadly, his condition continued to worsen. On November, about that's 2 months after he wrote the hymn, just 2 months after he wrote that hymn, after writing the Abide with Me, he died in Nice, France. He was only 54 years. The words became widely known after Light's death, but about 14 years later, an English organist and composer, William Henry Monk, composed the beautiful tune Eventide, the one we often sing now. His melody perfectly captures the quiet trust and peaceful hope expressed in Light's words. Don't forget, Light only wrote the words, he didn't write the music. The music was written by Henry Monk. One of the hymn's most moving lines says, Pull down thy cross before my closing eyes. When Light wrote those words, he knew his own closing eyes might not be far away. That makes the hymn deeply personal. It wasn't written as a sermon for others. It was a prayer of a dying pastor asking Christ to remain with him until the very end. So as choristers, when next you're singing this hymn, this particular hymn, don't just sing it casually. Sing it as this was somebody's prayer for his last days on earth. Try to sing hymns and know the stories behind these things, and then try to bring out those, emphasize on those things, and then make a meaning out of everything. Thank you. See you in my next video.